mic, unmute yourself and warm up the room and say good morning.
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 Good morning, good morning, good morning. I don't know, I think I'm the only one who's excited that it's Friday. No? You guys not?
We are exploding deep inside.
And I'm even more excited because this morning song, the playlists are so from my era. See, jumping. So like all the songs like, so familiar, so warm, so nice. Okay, guys, good morning, good morning. Hey, hi, Liana, I see you. I thought you were going to the bank.
Later.
Later, okay.
There's a lot of things to do.
Joining us. Let me see who else is here. Who else do we have in the house, in the room? Oh, we have Susanna. We have Sawa.
Yes.
Hi, Wawa. Hi to Nani. Farah is here. These are all my gang. Okay, Jia Ping is our guest this morning. Jia Ping is another fellow BPGS. How do I describe Jia Ping? Jia Ping is one person I always like admire and watch from far in school. You know, like, oh, she can do this, she can do that. She's ever so good in delivering her speech. Her thoughts are not truncated. She can susun her ayat very well. So I always admire that about Jia Ping. And then in school, she was in the school play. Oh my God, she was in The Boyfriend. Remember Ping? Jia Ping was in the school play. It's called The Boyfriend. Because it was all girls school, so she had to play the boyfriend, which was one of the main role, right? So I think your name was.
I cannot remember.
Okay, I gotta check with Lina because Lina was your girlfriend, right?
See, we were rainbow friendly even then.
Yes, we were. So, and then we lost touch, we got reconnected. And I think it's been a couple of years now that we have been very quite close, right?
Yeah.
And I've been following Ping, like I say, she's one of my idol, one of the people that I really admire, I mentor, and I look up to. I try to follow her shadow long before I even decided to become a brand consultant. She was a brand consultant, right? Ping, I think you will hear from her the stories, but I think testing my memory, after uni, you came back and you went to work for an advertising agency, right? Which was
Yes.
Huh?
Spencer Azizul, which is no more, unfortunately.
Who is Spencer? How old are you?
Oh my, yes. How old are you, my dear?
You were with Spencer, and then after that you
I switched to William Harrow Wong, and because literally I was so burnt out from Spencer. Even then, before I knew what the word burnt out, I just didn't like the work. You know, I didn't like working in advertising for a small firm. And then I got a call from a good friend. So I was just lepaking at home, right? So, and then the friends called me and said, hey, there's a job, do you want it? And so that's my life, My life is people ring me and say, hey, there's a job, do you want it? So it's a blessing. It's like, really, you love to say Alhamdulillah. So it's really Alhamdulillah that I have really never, except for the first job, I have never really gone to look for jobs.
So
yeah,
this is what we
versatile.
want to hear from you today. You all the career moves you made was something that came to you, and how we would love to know from Spencer Azizul and then to this other agency, and then you went for a short while on your own stint as well before you went to Think City, right?
I had a bookshop. I got together with one of the bosses of William Harrow Wong and Associates, and
I missed that one.
Yeah, I had a bookshop called Wordsworth for 2 years. So I love books. Books are like a passion, and I was able for almost 2 years to wake up and go into a place where it had you know, that old book smell. You know, it's just the most
Wow.
amazing thing. And I would spend so many hours pricing books because instead of pricing, I'd be like, oh, what's this book? It's, oh my God, you know, it's about this. And I would just read the book lah, basically. And so one book to price took me like 2 hours,
You
3
are
hours.
not an effective worker, okay?
Yeah, and then kalau it's really nice, I would just buy it. So in the end, I never made money lah because I was buying my products.
You will buy all the books you were supposed to sell. I don't know what business model is that, but yeah, so that lasted you 2 years, right?
So it wasn't a very good business model. But you know, you're in your 20s. I mean, I think I was 23, 24. I mean, what did I know, right? You know, university doesn't teach you to survive life. It just teaches you
Exactly.
to learn about
It
a
taught you
topic.
about
Yes. You know?
cosine and tangent and all that, right?
No, I didn't even learn about cosine. I learned about the history of philosophy of science. I learned about history. I learned about politics. I learned about Chinese, but not about how to survive life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then you also had a brand consulting agency, the Listening Tree.
Yes. So that came up because I went away for a few years, and then I came back, and again, sitting at home lepaking, someone rang me and said, hey, you know, Leo Burnett has an opening for 3 months for Malaysia Airlines account. Would you like to have it? You know, would you like to come in? So I said, advertising, tak nak lah, you know. And then my friend scolded me saying, it's 3 months before Christmas. At least go in so that you can earn money to buy Christmas presents. That was it. That was all I needed. Like, oh yeah, Christmas. Okay. So I took the job for 3 months, which lasted for 2.5 years. Because I really enjoyed it so much. And I had the pleasure of working with amazing people like Yasmin Ahmad, you know, and Ali Muhammad. And they were, and the whole creative team, everybody was just in sync lah. Do you know what I mean? There was very little, I mean, normal ego, but really the camaraderie and the team spirit of Leo Burnett was just phenomenal. And it made me feel like, yes, this is what culture is all about, right? And, you know, you come in and the first thing you do is watch the video about Leo, and he talks about creative integrity. And the day you lose your creative integrity is the day he says, you take my name off the door. And, you know, whenever we have management meetings and we have anything that we are in contention with, we will say, this is a name off the door moment, right? And that's what culture and a sense of values does for companies. And that's how I got so passionate to do brand consulting, because I got seconded to the strategy division. And I basically said, I can't take this servicing anymore. I really need to do something that was much more cerebral. So I went into strategy, and strategy then opened a brand consultancy. But then I thought, you know, brand consultancy has to be more than just channeling the brand straight into advertising. What about the middle bits where you inspire the people inside the organization? What about the values? And so I created a methodology that looked at value, the language of values and shared values, right, of every organization that I worked with. And I said, you know, values is a language that unites, you know, especially when it comes to creative work and subjective work. You cannot say, I don't like it.
Yeah.
And you know, we've all been there where I don't like it. 6 months later, you still don't understand what the client wants because you don't know what I don't like it means, right? But if you put values and you put brand personality, infuse it into the brand, they can say, well, I don't like it because this doesn't, it's not dynamic. And our brand is all about dynamism. Our brand is all about, you know, being happy. And this design does nothing for it. So immediately, it is a language that the designer and the creative person understands. You know, so I think that what I've done over the years is create bridges with my methodology to bridge one party with another party.
Yeah. So that was your brand consulting stint, and then you went to Think City.
Yeah. So yes, that was my brand consulting, and then I would consult for people like Dentsu, McCann, Ericsson,
Okay,
Imax.
so
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
the outsourced strat arm.
Strat arm, and new business development arm, and what happened was in 2008, I got called by an architect to say, look, there's this amazing project happening in Georgetown. We're doing a blueprint for the Georgetown transformation program because we've just been awarded UNESCO World Heritage status. And so, but we've got this dream team, but the dream team wasn't talking to each other. So the dream architects, the dream planners, the dream street designers, traffic designers, the street urban planners, urban designers, they were all at odds. And so they had heard about my work and called me in to basically create a strategy.
Wow.
And so the strategy that I created helped unite, again, the language, right? So why is this not working? Well, because we feel that Georgetown is chaotic, has to be a little bit of chaotic, right? Or it has to be creative. So, and then the team used that language to fight for hawkers to stay on the streets. Because that is the crux of Penang, the hawkers, right? And if you move hawkers into a building,
they won't. They're not hawkers.
Yeah, and it increases cost, and so there's a lot of things about understanding the needs of people who are in the bottom 40, and we might like everything orderly. Yeah, in our bubble of middle class, we like everything orderly and clean, but I think that we can still do that in a way, but make sure that it's affordable for everyone.
Okay, so I want to talk about your work in Think City in second half of the interview today, but I want to just take us back to the first part of your life where you were all doing all this jumping, trying to find a fit.
Yes.
And so could you talk a little bit about that? I also know that you were very active in theater. You I think school theater had left an impact on you.
Yes.
Can you share a little bit what theater does to you, and then when you got on to life and you start looking for what's life got to give me, or what can I give back to people? What was your journey like, and what did you learn from jumping from one career to another?
Yeah.
Your lesson there.
Yes. So I think I have to thank my father for love of theatre, because he is, in Confucian, they talk about that the perfect gentleman who is good at the arts, the science, and the sports and all that. So I think my dad is that, right?
Wow.
And so he would make sure that we would be exposed to plays, we would be exposed to literature, and so I think the role of parents in molding their children is undeniable. I mean, I think that parents really, I know some people have to have 2 jobs and they're fighting for survival, but really the time you spend with your child or exposing your child to things is crucial. So my love for theatre came from there, and it also came from reading. And it came also from the blessing of being in a right school that also cherished it and encouraged it, right? So BBJS did the best thing was, number one, it forced everybody to do choral speaking.
We had damn good foundation.
Yeah,
yes, we did.
And it was like standing on stage and sprouting poems or sprouting whatever in unison, right? So
choral speaking.
Number one, what does that teach you? Teamwork, right? Then it teaches, and it uses the arts, right? And then it talks about empowerment. So if you're able to stand on stage and speak, macam ni lah sekarang, we have no issues about standing in front of people digitally or live to really to talk, right? So and then it had school plays, and then I auditioned, and I'm a bit thick because people would say, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. But thankfully, we went to a school that actually said, you can do everything. And then I got, I was in a choir trial out, and I felt that the choir
Yes.
wasn't singing to beat. So I stood up and said, "No, teacher, it's like this." And then I started doing the beat, right? And then that was like the biggest gift and the biggest mistake, because the teacher then said, "Okay, then you be conductor." And I'm
Yeah,
like,
I remember.
"No, I want to sing." She's like, "No, you be conductor." And so, I was deprived of 4 years of singing. But what it gave me was, the team of my choir. It was just so. I mean, the fact that your headmistress says to you, "You decide. You decide what songs to sing. You decide. I trust you completely." And that was another subtle empowerment, right? And that was the first of the curation part. That's how, because then I had to put together things. I had to and I think the school was so magical in that sense, right? I didn't do well
No, you did.
academically because, of course, I'm. No, I didn't.
No, you did.
I come
I
from
remember.
an overachiever family. No, I come from an overachiever family. So, doing well is relative, right?
Yeah, it's relative. It's all very relative.
Yes. Yeah. So, so that was it. So the school
So what was the biggest lesson? If you mentioned a few, but what was the biggest lesson for you about theatre?
Well, I think that theatre is
What
very
does it
empowering.
make you become?
It's very empowering, right? It makes you feel that everything is possible because you go in and the stage is blank. It's a blank slate. So really tabula rasa, right? And it's up to you to create or to be part of the creation of something magical, right? Which is why then when I was given the chance, and so when I was working in the early 90s, I would also do theatre at night. So I would be with, Farida Marikan and Joe Hasham being an ensemble in Savages, and then, I would be in plays, right? And
How
so,
come I don't bump into you? I was in Kumpulan Theatre Anak Alam.
yeah, but I wasn't in Malay theatre. I was in, here and there. I was in the Scottish play, sponsored by NST. And so, there was all of these things. So I had 2 jobs. Even then, I had 2 jobs. I'm still working 2 jobs. So nothing much has changed, right? So what it does is, number one, talks about multitasking. And it tells you that you are able to channel different parts of your life. And you don't have to be one or the other. You can be both, right? And when you're young, you have the energy to do it, right? So, and that's how I got into supper, sitting by the roadside at 11 o'clock, makaning. You can never do that anywhere else, like except in, Malaysia, maybe New York.
In KL,
But you cannot sit in your shorts, right? And makan all year round.
Cannot.
In other countries.
Oh, yeah.
Cannot. And it was just so fun. And I got to really get close to people like Christian Jit, Zahim Abakri, Huzair Sulaiman. So, these are the different pioneers in their field at that time, So and it brought me closer to icons that inspired me.
So theatre had an impact in your life.
Big, huge.
Yes, big, huge impact. After theatre, then you after school, then you went on to work. So what is the next thing that had a huge impact in your life? How did you discover that?
So I was working with the British Council, and and the British Council brought in a play, right? And the British Council Arts Department then was headed by Elizabeth Cardoza, and she said, "Oh, basically, I need a deputy stage manager for this play that was English technicians and director, an English play, and then but Malaysian technicians and Malaysian actors, right?" So then she said, "I need a deputy stage manager. Can you help? I got no one." So I'm like, "Okay lah, why not?" Right? And I never done it before. So I became a deputy stage director, assistant stage manager, and I impressed the British team And so the technical director then, Raymond Cross, said to me, if you ever need a job, just call me. And so what did I do? I wrote to him at the time, you have to write surat and, and then put stamp and post
Still
it,
the
right?
case today, Ping.
Or I would call him and I said, look, listen, can I take you up an offer? And so what happened was I got a management traineeship at Cambridge Arts Theatre in Cambridge, UK.
Nice.
So then I basically moved myself, and I'm going to share screen and show you where the place that I worked with.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Okay, let me just do that again. It's what happens when you collapse things, right? So yes, let me share screen.
This is so exciting.
So what I did was I then worked for almost 2 years in
Ping,
Cambridge Arts
make
Theatre.
it big lah, Ping.
Oh, okay, sorry. I always forget. Yes, I worked for 2 years in Cambridge Arts Theatre, and this is 666 seat theatre. So I was able to kind of crawl up the roof, sit on and do a follow spot. I was able to climb up cat ladders, and I was put in the operations department. And at that time, this theatre hadn't opened yet. So I learned about opening a theatre and what it took management-wise to actually set up a theatre from scratch. Basically, there was nothing there, how to buy things, how to move things in, even like gobos, how to order the right gobos, which are filters in lights. And I remember the treasurer, the finance CFO said, why do you need more than one gobo? So we had to explain what a gobo was, which was a series of patterns made out of tin or steel, very thin steel, and then you put in front of a light, and then when it shines, you get the shadows, so all sorts of things. Had to learn about SOPs of theatre, and it was just that triggered my very anal part of me, which is all about systems, right? And so I learned about SOPs, like, they're very strict because they're part of a union, and you have to follow rules. You cannot go on stage barefoot. You have to wear steel toe cap boots, but they had to make an exception for me because they don't sell steel toe cap boots for size 4. Okay, so I had to go to the children's department and buy Doc Martens. And so I was allowed to use Doc Marten boots to work, and then I was adopted by the crew. There were only 2 women in the crew, and I was one of them. So again, this whole gender issue, I did not realize there was one because I was in it, right? I was able to, I was one of the female crew members. So I have actually been able to be part of many things which I never thought my gender was responsible for, right? So it's only now when I'm hearing everybody.
And you don't even think that it was an issue, right? Back then, yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is that if you think you have a glass ceiling, you have a glass ceiling. If you don't believe that there is such things as a glass ceiling, you just go lah, because either that or I'm so thick-skinned that I just buat lah, tak kisah kan, right? So I never allowed myself to be limited in that sense. Yeah. So, if you're not going to do it, nobody else is going to do it, really. And so, I came back. I mean, so, I have to show you this. This is, and another gift is I love architecture and old buildings, right? That's why I struggle with KL because KL, the old buildings are rapidly diminishing. We've lost our school, right? I'm about to lose Liming, this country has got no regard for built history. Let's just put it this way, right? So this on the left is a Georgian theatre built in the 1800s. It's beautiful, right? And because I was crew, and it was also owned by the Cambridge Arts Trust, which owns Cambridge Arts Theatre, I was able to go in, and on the right was a picture that I took, right? So we had to go in and rehearse in this theatre because we needed to make sure that we put on a play that would use every part technically of Cambridge Arts Theatre, of the new theatre, right? So that's why we were, this is the team, the crew. I was the technical crew. that said we lit up the arts. We literally did the play before it opened to test the lifts, the automatic lifts, the bars that came up and down. It was so fun, like pressing all the buttons and I'm a bit of a technical geek. I know that not many people know that. And so this was us, and that's me on the right, second last row. And I wanted to also show this is the beauty of Cambridge lah. Me, in a jacket walking to work. So I walked to work every day, which is why when I'm not in Malaysia, I'm slim. Because
I say the same about me.
and so that's why we need to talk about building cities that make people walk, because we're built for walking, right?
Yes.
So I think and what was another game changer was I was interning in the education department in the arts in this Cambridge Arts Theatre. And it taught me about building audiences, about arts and education. And so all of this was seeding different things in my life, which I didn't realize it, right?
What you were meant to do in
my
your
parents
life
are still,
later.
at this point,
Right.
going like, of course, I have to tell you, my parents at this stage is still wondering, oh my God, what is she, what will we end up with, right? Because still low pay or no pay or, yeah. So I always say that, for parents, don't worry so much, because your child will find their way, they will. I mean, with enough love, they will find their way. So you just have to love them sampai, gila lah, in that sense. But you also have to direct them in a sense, and set very good, strong values. Like they can't do whatever they want, but you can kind of say, okay, no, this is the framework. We'll let you play within that framework. Right?
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Interesting.
So, yes. So, so I'm just going to stop share now, and we can continue to bora.
Yep. So theatre had a strong impact, and it taught you a lot. And then from advertising, the not so good experience in Spencer. So what did that teach you, and what did you realize as a result of that bad experience?
That everybody in our generation will have that experience, and I think the gift is that it makes you resilient. Right. And there were times when I just thought, I can't do this anymore. They had 4 stories and I'd be running up and down, and I'd go up the 4th story and they'll say, you forgot this, go down and do it. And then, so I go down, do it. And then I had to run up again, all in 15 minutes. And then they would say, no. And then they'll send you down instead of telling you, okay, this is exactly what you need to do. So there was no training whatsoever. So I'm so used to learning on the jobs. And now as a leader, that's the bad thing lah. I think that people can learn on the job as well.
When you had all this, what was the what did you do? Or did you just accept, or did you stand up for yourself? What was it like? I mean,
the good thing was towards the 6 months, I got this amazing new boss, and he then said to me, actually, you're quite good.
Well, you're quite what?
You're quite good, right? So I'm like, oh, really? Because I really just thought I was useless, right? And that's what, you have to be very careful not to. You can teach without diminishing someone. And I think that's something that I always try and learn. I'm not perfect, but I try and learn that. And when he gave me the pep talk, I realized I didn't want to do this, so I left. I left, and then I was able to go into William Harold Wong, who was an amazing teacher. He's in his little design world, but that world taught me about international grade work. It was, and he is a typography geek. And so I learned about the love of font and type, and how things are balanced in a design work with your visual and your type. And now when I see things, I find that many people are very visual at the expense of type. And I cringe, but that's all my training, I can tell you when something is not centralized. I can tell you when there's too much gap. It used to drive my staff crazy. But I mean, that I love that teaching. I love that whole dedication to craft. And I think that's another underlying theme in my life, the dedication to craft. If you have to do it beautiful. Done. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. So next phase. So from one career to another, what was the one that either push you or pull you? And how did you make the decisions to step out from I wouldn't say comfort, the not so comfortable, to make that that leap, that say, okay, this is enough, I'm going to change. What's going on inside you at that time?
So I'm the type that cannot sit still, right? I'm a monkey, so I can't sit still.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. And so for me, I need to be able to go out and explore, right? And so at that point, I learned that there are gaps in other people's systems that I wasn't happy with. And I really wanted to just explore if I did it alone, what would happen, right?
Mm.
So, and I later learned through the Ideascape system that I am a born entrepreneur. I'm crazy entrepreneur because in a score of 100, my entrepreneurship is like crazy, which is not a good thing, because I also need to balance with my administrative and things, right? The dance of the PAEI, as they call it, producer, administrator, entrepreneurship, and integrator. So I'm very
high
good
tolerance, high appetite for risk.
Yeah. So my E and my I, which is my in integrating people and things, are also off the charts, right? So what I need to do is I need to work with people who are good producers and administrators, right? Yes, I can't work with other E's and other I's, because then, I can work with I's, but the E, then there's that jarring, right? Because it's like my vision, my thing, and all of that. So that's my struggle. That's my lifelong learning, how to temper,
So you have what I'm seeing here and what I'm listening from you is that you have a very good skill, which not many people have. We are able to look at yourself and say, all right, I'm like this, so therefore this is going to be good for me or not good for me, and therefore you take action.
And I think that is the power of coaching, because I also, during the listening tree, I went into Vistage and I joined a coaching
program. Is your brand consulting
the listening tree.
So because people might not know, I'm just clarifying.
So when I opened my consulting, even before that, I was in another partnership, also brand consulting. And then I joined Vistage to say, how do I save this consulting? Because my partner is never here, right? And the coach told me, no, actually, you can do it on your own. You don't need anybody, So here I was thinking, I need someone to help me be credible, because you know that. And he said, no, you're so credible on your own. Just do it lah. So then I thought, I embraced the God of Nike, and I just did it, right? The thing about me is maybe I'm missing a fear gene, but I actually just jump. When it comes to my career, when it comes to my personal life, it's a whole different thing. But I really am a risk taker. I'll say, why not? You only have one life. Just terjun lah. And then if it screws up, it screws up. There's more energy to do other things and whatever. And I still think like that. Yeah,
that's amazing, because we all are so scared to jump. We are all so scared to jump. So what would you say to all the people all right, holding back and not wanting to take a risk or do what feels good to them?
I think number one is they have to know what they want. So, the thing is that if you don't know what you want and you jump, then you're inviting failure, and then it's a self-prophecy, self-fulfilling prophecy, like that. Tengok lah, see, I knew it was bad idea to jump, and I jumped, and therefore it failed, and therefore I will never jump again. So you have to make sure you don't set yourself up for failure.
But know what you want also is susah lah, because not everybody, a lot of time we have so many options. It's like buffet, right? In our life, we have options. Whether it comes to us or we go to it, we have options. So how do you filter that?
Well, I think this is where mindfulness, meditation, being close to God. Farah, yes, last week talked about being close to God. Farah Rahim, your guest last week, talked
She's
about
here.
how
Yeah.
God guides her, right?
Yeah.
Yes, hi Farah. And I think God guiding you, or some people, they call it the universe guiding you, is very important. So from the very beginning, I knew my life purpose was to serve, right? And the journey has always been towards, number one, learning that to serve others, it did not have to be at the expense of myself, right? So now I tell everybody, you can't save anybody while you're drowning. So that was the first part of the lesson, right? In my 20s and 30s, to learn about, you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of others. But the underlying vision for my life or purpose has always been to serve, right? And now I serve by planting seeds of hope in urban places through my placemaking. With brand consulting, I was planting seeds of hope in corporate cultures that empowered people, that made sure that,
Wow.
you're no longer that small fry, that every small person has a big voice, and you need to use that voice, right? And hierarchy is a framework lah, but don't play. You use that framework, and then you main lah dalam framework too, right? And people say think out of the box. Actually, no. You have to understand the box. You have to play within the box before you can even think out of it. So the whole problem with all this US rah talk about you're the goddess lah, think out of the box lah, whatever, is people start believing in it without really reading the book, understanding, or what it really takes to think out of the box. Right.
All right. So let's get into the most exciting part of this morning. It's talking about placemaking. How did you end up learning about what the fish is placemaking? Ping,
Yeah.
and okay, I can see Nick Ruiz already like sitting up, right?
Yeah. So remember I talked about me being invited to do Georgetown Transformation Plan, right? Which was accepted by the Prime Minister Pak La then, which then led to Think City being formed, because they got funding from Ministry of Finance for Georgetown. And fast forward from 2008 to 2014, I got a call again from Khazanah to say, Think City, to say that we are going to expand from Penang to KL, Butterworth, and Johor. And our small little brand, which we did out of a napkin, it's not good enough for big international. So I'm like, okay. So they called me in as a brand strategist. I created the brand for them. And I was even, interviewing people to take on the head of KL role, program director. And it didn't work out for some reason for Think City to hire that person. And I remember driving the head of Think City at the time, Hamda Abdul Majid, who's a visionary, and his boss, I have to also say his boss, which is Tan Sri, Tan Sri, then, my God, sorry, my brain. He then led Khazanah. He was also another visionary. So I always think you need visionaries coming together to enable things, right? So he then said to me, my boss, then said to me, my then client, said to me, do you want to head KL? And I'm saying like, what? Are you crazy? What do I know about urban rejuvenation? Then he goes, I'll hire people to help you. Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm like, again, this is what I mean by I have never applied for jobs. All the jobs that I've gotten, I've never applied for.
Yeah, but I think that's because things show up, things come to you because you are living your fullest. I mean, because there's no fear.
Yes. And also, if it had come to me 10 years ago, I would not have taken it. But it came to me at a time when Malaysia was seriously in need of hope. Right?
Which year was this? We do that now. We do need that now.
2014, yeah, when there was very little hope. And I was saying, I'm so tired of sitting in the sidelines. If I'm going to be warga anak Malaysia, I need to actually contribute to Malaysia, right? Enough about all this talk and
Yes,
social
enough
media was
talk.
all about
Let's do,
you
right.
know, and enough trolling and bashing Malaysia. What are you doing for Malaysia? So I asked myself this question: what am I doing for Malaysia? And in the end, I said, this is an opportunity for me to now seed hope into cities. So, again, have a life purpose that really resonates with you, experiment with things, and life will take care of you, or God will take care of you, So yes, so then, unbeknownst to what I was doing, it became placemaking. And that's when parts of my life, branding, advertising,
Coming together.
typography, design, the arts, theater, all came together, right? And we talk about in branding, we always tell clients it's about the experience branding. And I just took the city as a brand, and I said, and because I'd done internal work with culture creation and change transformation of corporations, I knew that it's not about pretty pictures. I knew it's about rolling up your sleeve and fixing internally what's wrong. So I looked at the city and I said, what's wrong internally with KL Heritage Core? And so there was a baseline study done by this amazing guy called Dr. Matt Benson, who's now part of Think City, which told you what is there. So when you go into research groups, right? You know the what, but you really need to know the why.
The why.
So baseline studies and your research always tells you the what. But really the cream on the top of the cake is the why. If you know why it's not happening, then you can fix it, right? So if you say, what is a placemaker? A placemaker is a person that carries the collective why of the place and starts to then bridge architects, town planners, local government, federal government, all to work in together to fix the whys, if the why is a problem, to become a good why, from a why that is disintegrating the city to a why of why would people want to come here? What's in it for them? So I always call it, what's the wisdom of anything, your product, your place, your company, your culture. What is the why? Why do people come in and stay? Why do people come in and apply for your jobs? I get lots of potential clients who say, I can't hire anybody. And I'm saying, well, why would they come?
Yeah.
What's in it for them? Why
Exactly.
So placemaking is all about why. So can I show you what I mean by that?
Sure. I know while you're doing that, I can so relate to that because when I was doing my branding work and helping one of my clients, UMW, to set up their high value manufacturing park in Serendah. And then they said, oh, we need to start building these factories and all that. And I said, where are people going to live? Where are they going to makan? Where are they going to send their children to school? And on top of that, we're trying to attract people from overseas to come and work here in Malaysia. They wouldn't want to move if you don't.
You're a placemaker, Ro, even without you knowing, right? So that's what I learned. I was a placemaker even before I knew it.
Ah, okay,
so if you look at this place in Rotterdam, okay, it's called the Imax Path Cinema. So the architects had designed this public-private area, right? And if you look at it, it's gray. It's actually on steel, metal floors, and it may have looked great when it started on a design sheet, but in reality, it was slippery. People didn't want to jump on because or play in it because it rains all the time. And it was just cold. I mean, if you're cold, you don't want to go and stand on something that's cold, right? So what happened was a bunch of ingenious people decided, I'm going to urban experiment. I'm going to tactical urban experiment and put this on. So they're called the flying grass carpet. And they decided to experiment by putting over this gray steel thing, grass carpets, just to observe. And this is where you do the research. But you do research in situ and you urban experiment. Right? So in this urban experiment...
Sorry, Ping, sorry to interrupt. Can you just flip? I just want to see the... Okay. Thank you.
Before and after.
Right. Thank you.
Can you see that? Check it out.
So what happened was,
What happened?
and this is very cheap. This is not like the millions, gazillions of dollars where local council has to put up or the client has to put out a lot of money, because this is experiment. Look at this. Immediately it brought in people, right? And so they used this for 3 years. And now local government is saying, we're going to totally change the roof. We're going to make it more friendly for the community. And so sometimes, this is what we talk about bottom up. You need ideas from the floor, from the people, from the ordinary person, to inspire local government. Because local government are just so used to, I need to take care of rubbish, I need to clean the floor, I need to I need to approve plans. So it's our job to inspire, right? So we not only inspire as placemakers, communities, we inspire local governments.
I can so see the energy change.
Yes. And so this is another one. This was done. This is a project called Campus Marius. And you know about Detroit when they tutup all the kilangs, right? All the car factories. That whole place was just decimated. They lost 500,000 residents in less than 2 years, right? This city. And so, you know, when the first town planners did this, they did a town square, right? So the town square is what we call the place where people come to exchange ideas, to bond, to whatever. That's why, you know, in Italy, you have the piazzas, you know, everywhere there is always, everything is designed around town square. So if you look at the star, there's a yellow star right at the bottom. This is the very famous icon, the statue. Right? So what you need to do is on the right-hand side, this is in the 90s, and you look at the star, that's where the statue is. So look at the change, right? Where big development starts to want to take over and it's just not working, right? Or they want to overly manicure and make things more, put on more roads. So the antithesis of placemaking is roads. Roads for cars, because you're going to run out of land, right? So you cannot keep making every piece of land something for cars. You have to make it for people to walk, to cycle, and things like that. So if you look at this, so Project for Public Space, which is, you know, people there were my gurus, came and talked about cheaper, lighter, quicker. How do you experiment, tactical experiments? They experimented, and the final piece of work after a few years was this. Look at this. And if you look at the star, that's where the statue is.
Oh.
And so by the statue, there is a sand pit. It's a sand pit. So it's a beach, you know. So and then they put out beach chairs. So it's having fun and allowing people to have fun. The part in the middle is the restaurant. And then the grass is, people can sit on grass. Can you imagine how novel, right? To allow people to sit on grass and enjoy themselves. Right? And so, you know, people do it in winter, they would do it in summer, just to get out of a building. Right? So this is placemaking. And people think placemaking is events, you know. This is not event. This is redesigning the urban space, right? And it needs many, many people to come together to make it happen. So in Malaysia, my work was to use placemaking to demonstrate and advocate why you needed it. So when World Urban Forum came, I said to my team, look, we have Medan Pasar. We were given autonomy. We were given license to use Medan Pasar by DBKL. So the Datuk Bandar Ahmad Faisal was amazing then. And I said, what if we turned this into a little village? I said, you cannot bring 20,000 people over from all over the world and they are stuck just in the KLCC Convention Hall. You have to bring them in to experience a city in flux. And so we said to UN Habitat, why don't you come here? Right? You just tell your delegates to come here. And so we changed it into an urban experiment. We experimented with a house with 2 car parks, the width of 2 car parks. On your left here by the clock tower, if you see this picture on the right, DBKL built another house that you can basically slot into disused buildings that are no longer being used, right? So, and then we created this urban garden. And when we brought in this this these are all plants on water. You masuk saja, my God, the suhu just immediately dropped. So we use this to
I can
demonstrate.
imagine.
Can we stop using asphalt all the time? Can we stop building with tiles? Why don't we build with plants? Right? So that's one advocacy. Another advocacy is, why should people come back to the city? And it's because there's nothing to do. Why would they come back? Right? So one of the things we wanted to do was, to program something into Masjid Jamek LRT station.
This is
And I thought, I don't want to busk, please, because busking doesn't elevate anything, right? Why don't we make it and turn it into a little theater?
wow.
So look at this. On the right, we had, so I recce'd the place and I said, okay, this is the place where we can have our stage.
This is Masjid Jamek LRT. Oh my
So-
God.
and-
People, can you see that?
And underneath, there is a 200 feet tunnel. This is my art gallery, right? And we had programs every month. So every Thursday, we would have shows, performance. And every 2 months, we would change the visuals on the tunnel. So if you look at the tunnel, this is another tunnel working with WAO, Women's Aid Organization. And they said, oh, we want to put up our posters of abused and battered women, and to tell people not to be abusive. So I said, if I'm using the tunnel to come to work every morning and I had to look at battered women pictures, I'd be depressed.
Exactly.
So why don't we seed hope? I'm giving you 200 feet of hope.
Oh
use
my
it.
God.
So what we did was I then hired an artist, Ellie Hill, to facilitate a workshop. And this is Carolyn, and can I tell you another BBJS wonder? Carolyn Lau, right? Who is also BBJS, 3 years our senior, then created this. If you put recycled plastic bags together, you iron them, they become this leaf, So she then taught them how to do, these are all the survivors of domestic abuse. In the workshop, they created these beautiful flowers. And then we photoshopped the flowers onto the wall and created a wall full of flowers, right? And so,
Oh my God, so cantik.
yeah. And so then so my role is to curate, to make sure that it is as cantik as possible and yet as effective as possible. What is the why of this wall for WAO? So when we had the wall, a hotline went up 30%. The hotline, numbers went up 30%. And so this is why I do things, because it connects community and you use tools or the city to bring people that would never come together, right? Another one is Kebun Bangsa. So I have to give kudos to this man in green, Datuk Najib, who was deputy mayor then of DBKL. He is a farm lover. And he championed this. Ting City put them together, right, with Seksan. And then it got cancelled because there was a huge objection in the first site. But then I said, no, push for it because the community needs it. Now look at it now, right? During pandemic, it was giving away food. It's raised 40,000 ringgit in cash to help the red flags, the people waving the white flag or red flag, I can't remember which. This lady here on the left is Joanne Munn. She is my key team member. Without her, half of my project wouldn't have happened. So when you have a vision, you need people to also implement the vision. You cannot just be a visionary on your own, right? So that's why you need bridges, project managers, and artists. And so then there's also an education component in Kebun Bangsa. So education is huge with me. Everything I do has education components or advocacy components, right? And now it is a refuge. So, and this is me next stage with my Rotary work, and I'm a passionate Rotary because I think that now we need charity organizations more than ever. I'm trying to get a global grant for farming for Kebun And then this is my other hat. So I have many hats, right? This is me bringing in Placemaking Malaysia Week, which is the first in ASEAN. It's never been done before in a developing country. And so Hamdan allowed me to do this, my ex-boss. And I basically campaigned for it with Placemaking X in New York to say, allow me the license to do this. They said yes. And so I brought it in. We had over 300 international visitors come here. And this is November 2019. And I remember my boss saying, shall we push it to April 2020? And I said, no. We've gone too far. I know we're not getting any funding for it, but I believe that we will get the money. So let's just have faith and push this through. And the money came through from City Foundation in October, 1 month before this. So, sometimes but we knew it was coming in, but it was just taking so long to come in, right? So then I had to kind of knock on people's door to say, can you just, to my board of directors, please, just allow me to do this and trust me. And, and it wasn't blind faith, right? It was calculated risk with the things that I already had at hand, right? And because of that, we then inspired two amazing ladies, Datin Masrina and Datin Noraida, who's now, Datin Noraida is the president of Malaysian Institute of Planners, to start Placemaking Malaysia. So I'm the chair of Placemaking Malaysia, and our vision really is to have a placemaker in every local council, and for every planner to be a placemaker, right? And really that's really my journey. I'm now here I cannot stop share. Oh, and I'm also now part of Placemaking X, which is based out of New York. And so we are working for a global advocacy of placemaking. And that's really where I am at this point in time.
God. I cannot describe the word inside my heart. And I just feel like, wow, nonstop for all the work that you've done in Think City. And I cannot wait to see what more you're going to come up with. Just,
So I have a ask. Can people go into Facebook, Placemaking Malaysia? It's the one with the triangle, and join. Because first you join Facebook, and then they'll send you a form to join as an associate member of Malaysian Institute of Planners. And I think, Rome, you should join.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, I will. This is so inspiring. This is so fantastic. Thank you for sharing. And I'm getting so much stories and learning nuggets of wisdom, insights. And it all came from how you were in school, taking what theater taught you, what your bad bosses taught you, what life threw to you, and you knew that in life, what you wanted to do was really serve. So that was my biggest takeaway from this, that you know what you want and you go all out and serve, and you did it in every single stage of your life, and you continue to do that.
Can I just say this? I think that one of the greatest lessons is that there is no good, there is no bad, there just is. And it's up to us to see the gift in every. So when you say bad bosses, I saw them as bad then, in my non-mindful way. Now I see them all as gifts, right?
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Excellent. Fantastic. I'm conscious of time. So I'm now going to open up the floor for anybody. Please go and throw Jia Ping your question, ask her anything, get more goodies, more stuff from her, because this is your time. Yeah, thank you, Leonard, for putting the link in our chat box. And I'm seeing I will screenshot this chat box for you, Ping, no worries. But anybody has any question, any comments, any sharing at all? We've got Fanny, we've got Nick Ruiz. Hello. Boss, lama tak jumpa.
I've been around.
Hi.
Hi, Jia Ping. How are you?
Can we see everybody rather than just the two of us? I'm fed up with my face, but I love Rome's face.
Sorry, Jia Ping, I didn't know that you
See
were
everybody so
schoolmates.
that I can connect.
Jia Ping,
Sorry?
I
Yes?
didn't know that you were schoolmates with Rome.
Oh my God. Yeah,
Because,
so the cat is out of the bag now. Who
because,
is?
because I have this impression from Rome that her buddies would be Venice, Milan, Sicily, you know.
Sudahlah kau.
Yeah,
The good one, Nick.
yeah. So I'm just paying. I'm just jumping.
Yeah.
Typing would be closest.
Farah has a
Okay.
message. Farah has a question.
Farah has a question. Farah, do you want to ask Ping the question?
Mute.
How did you know early in life what you wanted to do? You know, I mean, what you wanted, like a life to serve early in life? Because nowadays, you know, and you find that, you know, at 17, at 18, you really don't know yet what you want to do, what you want to be,
Yeah.
you know?
So I'm a huge fan of astrology and all of that, right? So I remember once my mom. Oh, so yes, my aunt married a man from China who was able to do the Chinese astrology, right? And he said that my life, I would have a lot of Guiren, which means people that will come to my life to help me, right? People that will come to my life to give me gifts. And I said, oh, but isn't that with everybody? You know, and he goes, no, there are some people with zero. You have an abundance of it. So I'm like, wow, okay, if I have abundance of this gift, I remember thinking, and I really believe what comes around goes around. And I think that was from young, I think whether it was BBGS, CU class or Christian Union class or whatever. And I thought, if I'm going to receive this gift, I'm going to give this gift back. And in my mind, the only way I could give this gift back was to serve, right? So, and that's how service came in. And later on, service became hope, seeding hope.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So everything that comes to Jia Ping, she's always asking, how can she make this better, amplify this, share this around, share the gifts, share the abundance with everyone. Interesting. You didn't think it was for you only, right?
So, Jia, what I'm learning here is we need to get an astrologist to help us. No, joke.
No, I mean, sometimes you need help in finding out who you are and what's available in your life, right? And I find that there are tools out there. Some are, you know, if you're Muslim, it's not kosher, but I think there's a reason why these tools exist, right? It's not halal, not kosher. And for me, I've actually used these tools to my advantage. You know, it's not to look into the future; it's to tell you more about yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think there are so many tools out there that we can use. If not astrology, at the very least, you start with personality test.
Yes.
Right? So you know what you are all about, and you know what are your strengths. Start from knowing and understand yourself, and then you start thinking about the future. Start looking at things around you, what you have to your advantage or not, and then adopt this mindset from Miss Jia Ping that, hey, we're here to actually serve.
Yeah. And I'm now trying to fundraise, but I'm running out of steam because everybody's so busy. You know, I need to fundraise because I have a dream of a expert panel that's made out of placemakers and visionaries and community and local government to help local councils develop amazing parks and amazing places, right? And I need funds to kind of throw in to pay the panel of experts, and as well as maybe to give the gift for secondary cities who have no money. So what I want is I want people to move back into secondary cities because the quality of life is so amazing. And you know, big cities are great for certain things, but secondary cities are also amazing for quality of calmness of life, and so that's my big ask. That's why I need a lot of people to come to Placemaking Malaysia, so that the committee members can then have subgroups that can work on other things, because it takes a village to build a city.
Yeah. Amin, Ya Rabbal Alamin. It will come. That's our prayers on a Friday morning. It will come. You have your heart at the right place. And the other thing I actually noticed about Jia Ping, being her friend for so long now, that she doesn't dwell. Ping, you don't dwell on whatever that you are trying to do, or to whatever task you have. When it fails, you don't dwell on them. That's what I see about you.
Yeah.
You don't like, oh, I tried to do this thing, it doesn't work out, no one respond to me. You just move on. That's one
Well,
thing.
I mean, I do have my dwell moments. I give myself maybe 2 or 3 days, or maybe a week.
I
Sometimes
don't
it's
see
like,
that.
of course, I'm not going to call you. I go, I'm dwelling, I mean, who needs that negativity, right? So one of the things I always say is keep your negativity to yourself, unless, you desperately need someone to talk to. And I have, a few friends that I kind of, unfortunately, kind of go, but, nobody else needs to have my negativity, right?
Right.
So
So how do you, when you are in that negative space, that your cave, right, I call it, what do you do? How do you manage yourself when you're feeling down, when you're mulling over your so-called failure? What do you do? How do you pick yourself up?
So there is no good, there is no bad, there just is. And see the gift in everything.
Someone please write that down in the chat box and put it onto a big piece of paper and plaster it in front of your wall, on your wall, so that you see it every day. There is no good, there is no bad, just is.
See the gift in everything.
Everything. Thank you. Wow, interesting.
Morning,
And-
Rome and Ping.
Sorry?
Morning. Oh, hi,
Hi.
Wa.
Hi, Wa.
Before I have to go, I thought, thank you so much. I was wondering how come I thought I walked all the steps with Ping along her life, and I still didn't know so much about her. And I know now why, because whenever we meet, we talk about her woes, and we never celebrate all the other stuff, the huge achievements that she achieved.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's a mark of a good friend, right? You speak about woes and
and
your
you
heart.
need your tribe. You need your tribe, because without your tribe, you cannot survive, right?
Yes.
It's like, how come I'm finding out so much about Ping today, this morning, still? But it was amazing,
But
sharing.
you actually saw the theatre, right? I took
Yes.
you on a tour of the theatre, and yes,
You did.
you're my witness, lah. If I forget, right?
Yeah. And you know what? Let me just share this one more thing I learned about Ping. Sitting in her car, she was sending me home in a rainy evening one time. And then we were just talking. And then she said that she joined Rotary Club. And she is, not was.
Well, I was then president. At that time.
President,
No longer.
right, of Rotary. And I was like, Ping, hello, what are you doing? Why? Because I had so many questions. Why box yourself to Rotary if you wanted to do charity? You could do it anyway, anyhow. And my question, why Rotary? Because I had bad impressions of Rotary. Why Rotary? And then check this out, yeah. Her response to me, her reply to my question was, I had exactly the same impression. I had exactly the same barriers with you, Rome. And I challenged and set myself up to conquer my own negativity and my own fear. And so I joined Rotary. And then long before I know it, I was the president. I was like, you did what?
So I have a challenge to myself. If there's some things that I don't like, I do.
Can you imagine that?
So, and now I'm so grateful for Rotary, because it saved me from going mad during the pandemic, because I was so busy trying to fundraise, trying to get food supplies to certain people, trying to organize everything, that it distracted me from the lockdown, right? So again, there is no good, there's no bad. What's the gift that's waiting for you,
Thank you so much. What a deep reflection. And this, having you on our breakthrough segment this morning, is a gift.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Last
so
but
much.
not least, Ping, it has been a privilege having you as my classmate.
Oh, you're wearing purple. Yay, Prouse. Yay, shirt. Yay.
Oh my God. Ruiz is going, these BBGS girls.
Well, if we don't have a school anymore, we might as well have the spirit, right? And the spirit lives
We
longer
have
than
the
the school.
spirit, yeah. And we are a tribe.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I'm not going to sing the school song, even though it's in
Jia Ping,
Yes.
I think I'm in the wrong group. I didn't know it's a BBGS reunion.
No, you're not.
He's
You're not.
speaker. He's a Malaysian Institute of Planners.
I know. Yeah, and he's my crazy brother.
Anyhow, maybe if I may suggest, Jia Ping, you may like to tell them, because considering I know your background through Malaysian Institute of Planners, maybe you like to inspire them on this multicultural in relation to placemaking, because there are a bit of how I would say, it wouldn't be an easy task, and I know Singapore has done reasonably well, New York has done well, so has London, but maybe you'd like to give some insights for us Malaysians here, Jia Ping.
In what regards? In that everybody can actually contribute, or
I think it's more of the identity. For me as a designer, as an architect and a town planner, the worst example that, if I dare to say here, I hope none of you will record this and forward to the designers, is a Pullman in Putrajaya. You know how they basically the rojak that they have done. It's really frustrating. But if you look at some examples that, Singapore is a fine example how they integrate this identity, their cultural identity in terms of placemaking and so on. So maybe you'd like to give some thoughts about this for the rest of the team here, or
I
rather
think that-
schoolmates.
Thank you so much for that question. I think that Singapore does it well because they have Urban Redevelopment Authority, URA. They have design councils. So they have people who keep everything in check, right? We need placemakers so that we can challenge architects and local councils to say, when you approve any building, please make sure that the setbacks are there, because we need setbacks. If you drive down Jalan Damansara now, you look at the pavilion, there is no setback. That's a pretend setback, right? And it is dangerous.
Okay, for the benefit of those who don't understand your technical term, what is setback?
So setback is the space that you leave between one building to the other. Right? And you're supposed to have a good setback. And I feel that, local councils have to be brave. And I know, unfortunately, sometimes, someone comes with a title and immediately it's yes, sir, no, sir, and three bags full, sir. And we really need to reclaim our voice, because we have lost our voice, we are now experiencing political rubbish, right? Where we're not being served. There are no servant leaders. They are just leaders who serve themselves, right? So you need to use your voice, and placemaking is that voice. It's non-political. It's about, I want to have a good space to live in. How political is that? It's not. It's about quality of life. And, and I feel that is a good avenue for people to voice out and to empower themselves.
True. Right, thank you. And I'm just going to take 1 second to introduce Ruiz to the group. We worked together when we launched Kelai A Aeropolis in Farnborough. That was in 2018,
16.
17, 16 Okay,
16.
that way back. All right. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Ping. I don't know how to thank you. I hope every one of us have gotten something. If not, I've gotten a lot. There is a link which Ha is going to put in the chat box now. Could everyone just click on that link and put on 3, what's the question, Ha? 3 words to say how you feel after listening to Ping this morning. Right? And yes, thank you for coming.